Alright guys, Kremp again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. The pros consider Black Ops 6 to be a pretty damn good game, so why are none of them really playing it? Shotzzy's calling out a number of the pro players for not really playing 8, or particularly grinding, picking up the toy as they call it, and this has been a consistent trend over the last few years. The players not really grinding the game outside of scrims, as you might well expect. Only a select few, Shotzzy gives some credit to, but especially this year with all the salaries going down, you'd have thought this might have changed their mind, especially given the fact that we're only a couple of months into the game's life cycle. Very much interested to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. This was doing the rounds yesterday as well, because we've seen over the last few days frustrations in the pros, among others, on the state of the game, the changes to the map pool the CDL came around with. aBeZy said this now on, 7th of February 2022 during the Vanguard year. He was proposing at the time to up the health in the game from 100 to 130. I think this was an option in recent games, but also way back in the day. I think they called it like heavy duty or something back in, I want to say even Black Ops 2 this might have been a thing, but it was an option in the settings to increase the health of the bots, right, or, you know, the game that you might be playing. This was thrown around as an idea. It never seemed something the CDL would actually employ, but to be fair, would it have made the gameplay better? Possibly. And I thought what's interesting about this tweet is that aBeZy in the final sentence said, I also feel like it'd make the viewing experience better. Now, look, do I really believe that the pros have viewing experience top of mind? To be fair, they probably used to a bit way back in the day when they were making the decisions in, you know, I want to say Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3 Infinite Warfare, games like that when they were making their decisions in terms of what was going to be gentleman's agreemented. Generally speaking, they cared about themselves and the way the game played competitively, but there was some feeling, I think, at the time about making the game better to watch for the fans. That has seemingly got out the window over the last few years, and, you know, I'm not saying that when aBeZy said this, the viewing experience was his top priority, but it at least was something on the radar that the pros considered at the time. And obviously some pros are different. Some pros, like Attach, for example, when he is making the decisions, look, I'm still saying that he's going to value his and his team's success and advantage over the viewing experience of the fans, but I know that Attach does at least think about what might be best for the viewing experience for the community. But in the case of some pro players today, that does not seem to be the case at all. So it's just an interesting change of timeline, really. A couple of years ago, it was a very commonly held understanding that the viewing experience would at least have some relevancy when it came down to what decisions the pros would make. Nowadays, that is far from the case. Couple of Shotzzy clips, as always, to go through as well. Here, of course, we know that he's been getting along quite well with the Falcons boys and wishing them well. I think it's been nice to see, really. And this is also a conversation when it comes to 8s as well, as we'll get to in a second. The Falcons boys, not only their starting roster, but also their academy, they've been grinding, right? And obviously, you'd expect them to. This is their one, maybe only chance in the CDL, and I'm sure they feel pretty blessed to have got the opportunity, right? Falcons by the spot. They could have spent a bag to go and sign some more veteran players. They didn't. They brought over their starting roster and their academy team, and I imagine that we'll see over the next few months what Falcons decide to do. Will they say, all right, we're going to stick with this for the entire season, then we'll make a decision next year? But I feel like when the Falcons turn up at the World Cup for Call of Duty in whenever it's going to be this year, August again or whatever, then they're going to want to be competitive there, more competitive than they presently are. So I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, Khalid, Xnid, or someone like that, they end up staying around and maybe they make some transitions. But of course, if they are going to make a team change transition, they have an academy team for a reason, right? They might want to bring those guys in instead. So big questions on what the Falcons are going to do in the coming months, I would say. There was also a couple of clips here from Shotzzy playing the Ravens in scrims. We know that this scrim set went 6-2 in favor of OpTic Texas. A team that has seemingly, according to Shotzzy, had Ravens' number in practice so far this season. But obviously in the league, Ravens are 4-0. And OpTic have done very well at 3-1. And they may play each other at the Minor 1 tournament, actually. So OpTic in the first rounds play Falcons. That was a wild kill. And so is this one, actually, here on the Skyline as well. But and if they beat the Falcons, they play Boston. If they beat Boston, they play Carolina in the semis, assuming Carolina win their second round game, which they may not, of course, but, you know, if they would, we may potentially see that happen when the CDL comes back around at the start of January. But one of the big conversations that Shotzzy was having in the OpTic podcast the other day was around the amount of pros actually grinding the game, this is usually a big talking point in, you know, March, February, something like that, basically, when the game's been out for a few months, a lot of the pros are settled into their routine. Some of them are grinding the game hard, sure, some of them are not necessarily. Fellow's not even in the league anymore, he's still playing 8s, and, you know, look, I found a few tweets over the last few days. This was Looty, for example, one of the coaches of the Falcons, in addition to Clayster, saying, great to see the Saudi players getting involved in the Pro 8s, and the pros obviously getting the players involved, which is good to see, and I'm sure they would do so anyway, but the reality is, sometimes there's like not enough players to fill an 8s lobby, so they're like, oh yeah, boys, come along. Now, you know, you might imagine that some pros, if there were plenty of players in the pool to be playing, then maybe they wouldn't make the same decisions, but, you know, whatever. It's still good to see, and nonetheless, the Saudi players are CDL quality players in maybe, you know, part of the team is, in my opinion, but it's quite clear that the Falcons guys, they're trying to play, right? Like, they're not just content playing scrims, playing, I don't know, ranked play or whatever they look to do. They want to get involved in 8s all the time because they want to help improve their own gameplay, but also just play more Call of Duty, because, you know, this has always been a thing with Scump, for example, when he was still competing, his best games were the games that he played the most. Like, there's a high correlation between the games that he enjoyed and therefore played the most and played more pubs and more ranked play and more scrims and 8s and whatever, and him being better at those games. And I think that was obvious for Scump because he played, like, everything he played was content, so you got to see, was he playing more or less, because you could see how many videos he was making on his YouTube channel. Obviously, with other players, you don't quite see that, but I think the same thing will apply. The people that like the game more and play the game, or even just play the game more full stop, they tend to get better over time, and I think it's going to help the Falcons boys as well. We know that Illy has been, and still will be, chief grinder. I mean, this is a couple of days ago, ranked Charles 8, you know, he's looking to play whatever, and of course Shotzzy knows all about that, and I just searched up 8s here, and this is what you'll find over the last few days, a fair bit from Fellow, Illy, you know, Hook was tweeting about it, Nastie, aBeZy, JoeDeceives, Shotzzy, Xnid, even like Kremp was looking for it a few days ago, but like a lot of tweets from mid-December, but not all that much since then, so I wanted to share what the OpTic boys had to say about this, and a couple of players individually, they give some credit to PaulX, but about the general topic of players not really taking it as seriously as they might. Now, we know that some players, they don't like playing 8s. So 8s is pickup games, basically. Instead of playing with your team, 4 versus 4, you have a lobby of, you know, 8 players, or however many is the pool looking to play, maybe 10 or 12. You choose a couple of captains, they pick their teams, you put some money on the line, or maybe you don't because the CDL doesn't like it, maybe they don't care anymore, I don't know, and then you play a series of respawn, basically, and then the winning team gets the cash, and then you go again tomorrow. That's usually the idea. Now, some players don't like playing it because they feel like it's more random than normal COD, but I think most players would probably say that it's at least helpful to some degree. Certainly towards the start of a game's life cycle, just gives you more understanding, more playtime of spawns in hardpoints, how to read and respond to pressure in different situations, and stuff like that. So this is what the guys have to say.
That is facts. Even Rocker and Gentleman's is a good match.
That's a good series, yeah. I feel like Rocker is a team that's going to be like competitive all year, and it just depends on if they like fix like some situational fundies, and I swear they could actually be like
who's even on the team? Is what, Nero,
Paul,
Gio.
Yeah, that's true.
Ezreal.
That's such like
Ezreal.
It's a weird team, I can't lie. It's such a weird team.
Hey, but they mesh well, so fuck it. They probably click outside the game. I'm pretty sure they're
like, all in like a team house.
Oh, they're?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Yeah, they probably fuck with each other. It seems like they came from challenges all together, and now they're just fucking just teaming.
They're just gonna be grinder vibes.
Nah, facts.
Like Paul, I mean, he's playing ranked. I don't know.
Dude, Paul is fucking
top
grinding,
20.
dude. Holy shit.
Top 20.
I woke up today. I'm like, all right, like off day. You know, who's streaming? I saw Ender, and then I saw PaulX. I'm like, wow, dude, this guy just wants it, dude.
Yeah,
I tip the fuck out of it, genuinely. So, Paul, if you're watching this shit, I gotta gas you, bro, because holy fuck, no one touches the toy anymore, dude.
Yeah,
No
it's very respectable, honestly.
Yeah, we need to try to get 8s going again, or S&D 8s. I'm craving S&D 8s. Holy shit. But yeah, we got the minor, and then what? A couple matches after that, and then we go into Madrid, which is what, January 27th, I think. I think that's when we leave or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And then we play on the 30th. That shit's gonna be crazy. You think that a lot of people are gonna show up to Madrid?
Yeah.
Really? You think like
because you gotta also think that people from the UK are gonna go to like also like.
Well, how far are they from Spain? Is it like
it's
a
maybe
short
2
flight?
hours.
Oh, really?
Because like if there's ever a time for like the
that's where we're playing out of.
What is that? Where Carlos is that Alcaraz where he plays? Nadal, bro. Nadal's played here before.
Wait, that's where we're playing?
That shit looks crazy.
Holy fuck! I did not know that.
Wait, look up
pickleball.
Pickleball. Whoa, we might see. Never mind. Yo, wait, look up UK to Madrid flight, like London to Madrid. We got to see how long this shit takes. Because I'm telling you right now,
that's cool, bro. Wow.
UK has the best fans. So if they pull up, listen, bro, all the lads pull up, bro. Support the green wall.
That shit's fire.
That London event in 2019 still top 5 or top 3 all the time for me.
So this year I thought it might be different in terms of how much content was being streamed, and I think this year I'd say we probably have more streamed scrims than we previously had. But it was a talking point, wasn't it, a couple of months ago when the rumours were coming around about the salary cuts the teams were taking, sometimes quite substantial. I don't know what salary cut OpTic had to say, and it doesn't really matter for them because they're going to make some good content anyway, and they're going to grind a fair bit. But I felt like there was a feeling in the community anyway, that the majority of teams this year are getting paid less than they were the previous year. So you might expect, first of all, more content to be made, more streams to be scrimmed, or scrims to be streamed, whatever, right? You know what I'm saying? More streams to go live, basically, playing 8s or whatever. And secondarily, maybe, you might see them just try harder in general. Now, the second part may be true. I think there are certain teams out there this year that will be, and players individually, right? There's been a feeling in the league over the last few years that there's been a certain number of players who are simply content being top 6, top 8, whatever, maintaining their CDL spot, but aren't really pushing for that much more than that. And I think this year, we probably are already seeing a little bit more. Like, I think most teams, they feel like they've got the opportunity to really, prove themselves and do something this year. So I think we're seeing a bit of that. But is that translating into pros actually grinding harder in the game? Not really, according to Shotzzy. It's like, not many people are grinding. The one that he does call out is pauLX. So, I wanted to give him credit. pauLX actually started the season very well. I mean, they won that series against the Gorillas. I think pauLX had a really good one in this one. Maybe it was the Boston series. Both of these series they won 3-2. But okay, maybe it wasn't this one for Paul. I think it was the second series against Boston maybe that pauLX had a good series. Yeah, here he was, 93 and 81 with a few good maps. Certainly, I think it was on the Vault he had a good one. So anyway, pauLX has had a pretty solid start to the season. He was part of that Subliners team, of course, who famously at the end of Vanguard managed to turn it around. He subbed in for London, of course, earlier in the year as well that season. Then the following year he was actually on London for a little while. So look, he's done his time in and around the league, and it's good to see that he is, committed, it seems, to being the best player that he can be. But it's still a bit surprising to me that we're at this point in the season and already we're talking about players not really putting in the time. And obviously there's some players like Simp, for example, he doesn't like to play 8s because it's something that helps his gameplay. Doesn't mean that Simp isn't trying to, grind and get better. He'll just potentially attack that avenue in other ways. But in your thoughts in the comments below. Speaking of Paul, though, I did think there was a bit of discussion in general on the most surprising player so far. To me, pauLX doesn't, he's been okay so far this season, but his numbers overall aren't anything special, really, to go by. So I wouldn't really put him quite into that category of most surprising player so far. These are just some of the numbers on the player stats to have a look through. So I guess you can have a look at some of these numbers and make your mind up on which is your most good surprise player, I guess, of the year so far. And I would say, Kismet I think has been very good. CleanX has been, honestly very good. I expected him to be good. I didn't think I'd expect him to be quite this good. And then maybe Gwinn, but obviously it's early days and people would argue they've not played quite the level of competition. To me, Slash's play isn't a massive surprise, but it still is surprising to see him be this good, I would say, because I thought he'd be good, but I didn't think he'd be this good so far anyway. But in Twitter, your thoughts in a comment. Just one final thing. Toronto, they are running the Madrid Major, if you guys aren't aware. So, and they say yesterday, tickets are coming soon. I know this has been a big talking point in the scene because people, either they have booked flights and hotels and now they're waiting for tickets, or they don't want to book it until they're sure they get a ticket, which both ways is fair enough. And they say they're dropping soon, and there's a link here you can go to and put your like number in or something, and then they'll text you when they're dropping, I guess. So anyway, hopefully that's soon, because the event's happening in like 5-6 weeks, and it would be probably good to have some tickets right about now. So I'm not really sure what the hold up is there, but they promise they're coming soon, so the event must still be going ahead, I imagine. But yeah, hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.